Welcome to a new video from Max Premieres. Today I'm bringing you a special selection of miniseries that you absolutely cannot miss under any circumstances. These are productions that tell complete stories in a single season with no filler, no unnecessary stretching, just quality content from beginning to end. Finding good miniseries can be complicated because there are so many options on streaming platforms that you don't even know what to watch anymore. But before we begin the video, it would help me a lot if you could take a moment to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for your kind support. Number 16. Defending Jacob. How far would you go to protect your child from a terrible accusation? Andy Barber is a respected prosecutor in a quiet town in Massachusetts, a man who has built his entire life on law and strict order. But everything changes dramatically when his 14-year-old son Jacob is accused of brutally murdering a classmate with a knife. From that point on, well, this family's life completely falls apart with no possibility of return. Chris Evans delivers an impressive and revealing performance, showing a father torn between his professional duty and unconditional love for his only son. Michelle Dockery, as the anguished mother, conveys a deep desperation that feels far too real to be fiction. This series constantly makes you question, is Jacob really innocent? Or is there something dark that his parents simply don't want to see? Each episode reveals new layers of family secrets that complicate absolutely everything. The ending, honestly, stays with you for days. A mini-series that explores the limits of parental love. Number 15, Duty, Shame. A Tokyo detective travels to London searching for his brother, a murderer linked to the Yakuza, while a clan war threatens to erupt at any moment, causing a bloodbath. It sounds like a typical gangster thriller, but this series is so much more than that and truly deserves your attention. The way it blends Japanese family drama with British crime is, something I genuinely had never seen before in any television production. Takahiro Hira plays Kenzo with brutal emotional restraint, a man trapped between his duty to his family and the law he swore to uphold. Kelly MacDonald, as Detective Sarah, brings that necessary touch of humanity that balances the constant tension in every scene. What's most surprising is how the series constantly shifts tone. There are moments of extreme violence, but also scenes of absolutely stunning visual beauty. The final episode has a sequence that, wow, I'm not exaggerating when I say it's one of the most emotional things I've seen on television in years. Just a heads up, it's spoken in Japanese and English, so subtitles are mandatory to fully enjoy it. Number 14, Bodies. 4 detectives in 4 completely different time periods find the same body in the same London alley. Yes, you heard that right. 1,890, 1,940, 2023, and 2050, 3, and the body found is exactly the same in every era. The premise alone is fascinating, but the masterful execution is what makes this series truly special and addictive. Stephen Graham plays a key character who, well, I can't say much without ruining the main twist. Each era has its own detective with personal problems that deeply resonate with the central mystery connecting everything. The time travel plot can be confusing at first, but if you pay close attention, everything fits together perfectly in the end, revealing a century-long conspiracy. Comparisons to Dark are inevitable, although Bodies has a very distinct and unique identity. What I liked most is how it explores fate versus free will in an intelligent way. Can we change the future, or is everything predetermined? The ending forces you to rethink absolutely everything you just watched. Honestly, very few series have left me this satisfied. Number 13, 5 Days at Memorial. Based on absolutely devastating real events that happened almost 2 decades ago during a national tragedy. During Hurricane Katrina, a hospital in New Orleans was left completely isolated for 5 days without electricity, with water constantly rising and the heat becoming unbearable for both patients and medical staff. Doctors and nurses were forced to make decisions that, no one should ever have to make under any imaginable circumstance. Vera Farmiga plays Dr. Anna Pu with an intensity that cuts straight through your soul. The series doesn't judge anyone. It simply shows the horror of an impossible situation with no apparent way out. The first 5 episodes feel like a horror movie, but one that is completely real and documented. Cherry Jones, as the hospital administrator, also delivers an absolutely memorable and heartbreaking performance. What's most disturbing is knowing that this really happened, that 45 people died inside that hospital waiting for a rescue that never came. The second half focuses on the investigation that followed and the euthanasia accusations. It's hard to watch, I won't lie, but it's important television. Number 12, Watchmen. Damon Lindelof took Alan Moore's legendary comic and created something completely new, surprising, and revolutionary for television. Set decades after the original material, the series opens with the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, a real historical event that many viewers sadly didn't know about at all. Regina King as Angela Abar is simply spectacular and unforgettable, a masked police officer in a world where vigilantes were outlawed by federal law. The series blends superheroes with social commentary in a way that, well, had never been done before, with this level of intelligence, depth, and relevance. Jeremy Irons, as an aging Ozymandias, brings moments of absurd humor that balance the constant dramatic tension. Episode 6, wow, is an absolute masterpiece that completely changes your perspective on the entire story. It won multiple Emmy Awards and deserved every single one of them. Just a heads up, you do need some familiarity with the original comic to fully appreciate it, although it also works as a standalone story. Honestly, HBO proved that comic book adaptations can be genuine art. Number 11, The Outsider. Stephen King adapted exactly the way it should be, with patience, respect for the source material, and a masterfully unsettling atmosphere. A child is brutally murdered, and all physical evidence points to Terry Maitland, a beloved and highly respected local baseball coach. The disturbing problem is that there's also irrefutable evidence proving he was miles away when the crime happened. Jason Bateman directs the first episodes and also plays the accused, showing a dramatic range that very few people expected from him. Ben Mendelsohn as Detective Ralph Anderson carries the investigation with a restrained intensity that, keeps you hooked episode after episode. The series starts as a traditional crime thriller, but gradually introduces chilling supernatural elements that completely change everything. Cynthia Erivo appears as an investigator with special abilities who, well, is fascinating to watch on screen. The pacing is deliberately slow, carefully building atmosphere and tension. There are scenes that genuinely kept me up at night for several nights. Number 10, I Know This Much Is True. Mark Ruffalo plays twin brothers in what could very well be the most impressive performance of his entire career. Dominic and Thomas Birdsey are physically identical but completely different as people. One struggles to survive day by day, while the other suffers from severe paranoid schizophrenia that slowly consumes him. Ruffalo gained 40 pounds to play Thomas after filming all of Dominic's scenes, a staggering physical transformation. The result is, simply devastating to watch in every shared moment. This series is not easy to get through, and that needs to be said clearly from the start. It explores generational trauma, mental illness, and the enormous sacrifices we make for our family. Kathryn Hahn and Rosie O'Donnell deliver supporting performances that are absolutely memorable and emotionally powerful. Derek Cianfrance directs with a visual style that amplifies the suffocating emotional weight the characters live with constantly. There are episodes that leave you genuinely exhausted by the time they end, but that's exactly the point, to make you feel what they feel. Honestly, Ruffalo deserved every single award he won. Number 9, The Last Night at Tremor. Oriol Paulo, the Spanish master of contemporary psychological thrillers, returns with this adaptation of Miquel Santiago's best-selling novel. Javier Rey plays Alex, a composer going through a deep personal crisis who retreats to an isolated coastal town to finish his latest musical work. But one violent and terrifying stormy night, a lightning strike hits him directly, and he begins having disturbing visions about his neighbors, people who seemed completely normal and friendly before. Anna Polverosa, as his partner, provides the emotional anchor the story needs to keep it grounded. What makes Paulo so special is how he controls information and twists. Every episode ends with a revelation that, well, forces you to immediately watch the next one without stopping. The atmosphere is oppressive and unsettling, and the coastal town genuinely feels threatening in every nighttime scene. There are moments where you don't know whether what you're seeing is real or imagined, and that constant ambiguity is absolutely delicious. Willie, Toledo, and Pilar Castro round out a solid and convincing cast. Honestly, Spain keeps delivering top-tier thrillers. Number 8. American Primeval. The American West like you've never seen it before in any previous Hollywood or television production. Forget romantic cowboys and classic high noon duels. This series shows the real, unfiltered brutality of westward expansion in 1857, where survival meant constant violence with no rest and no mercy. Taylor Kitsch and Betty Gilpin lead an impressive cast that also includes Kim Coates and Shea Whigham in memorable roles. The production is visually spectacular. Every shot looks like a period painting, but a painting stained with blood, mud, and desperation. This one is not for sensitive viewers. That needs to be said up front. The story follows several groups whose lives become fatally intertwined. Desperate settlers, Native Americans defending their land, Mormons with their own agendas, all fighting to survive in a hostile and unforgiving territory. What sets this series apart is that there are no clear heroes. Well, everyone does terrible things simply because they have no other way to survive. Number 7. We Own This City. From the creator of The Wire comes another brutal, honest, and uncompromising look at the city of Baltimore and its deeply corrupt police system. Based on thoroughly documented real events, the series tells the story of the Gun Trace Task Force, a unit that was supposed to fight crime, but ended up becoming a criminal organization itself, stealing and extorting. John Bernthal, as Sergeant Wayne Jenkins, is absolutely hypnotic to watch in every single scene he appears in. The way he portrays this charismatic yet completely corrupt man makes you question everything you think you know about modern American policing. David Simon makes no concessions at all. He shows a broken system from the inside, how pressure for results creates monsters with badges. It's uncomfortable television, but absolutely necessary to understand the reality of the country today. Jamie Hector, a veteran of The Wire, returns in a completely different role that proves his enormous versatility as an actor. The narrative jumps through time effectively, building the case piece by piece in a meticulous way. Honestly, it's hard to believe that all of this actually happened. Number 6. Mare of Easttown. Kate Winslet completely disappears into the role of Mare Sheehan, a detective in a small town in Pennsylvania who investigates the brutal murder of a young mother while dealing with her own personal and family demons. The accent Winslet perfected for months is impressive, but what's truly extraordinary is how she humanizes this deeply flawed and contradictory character. Mare is an alcoholic, emotionally distant from her family, and carrying the weight of a devastating personal tragedy she can't move past. Well, Winslet won the Emmy, and she absolutely deserved it without any doubt. The series works as an addictive crime mystery, but also as a portrait of a working-class American community that has been forgotten. Jean Smart, as Mare's mother, brings moments of humor that perfectly relieve the constant tension. The plot twists are genuinely surprising, not the kind you see coming from miles away. The ending of episode 5 especially, wow. I did not see that coming at all, and it left me speechless for several minutes. Number 5. Devs. Alex Garland, the visionary genius behind Ex Machina, created this deeply philosophical science fiction series that will leave you thinking for weeks after finishing it. Lily works at a Silicon Valley tech company whose secret project, simply called Devs, is something that, well, changes everything we believe. We know about the universe, reality itself, and our place in it. Sonoya Mizuno, as the lead, brings a moving vulnerability that contrasts perfectly with the coldness of the corporate environment surrounding her. Nick Offerman, completely against type, plays the mysterious CEO with a mix of brilliance and devastating personal tragedy that defines every decision he makes. The series explores determinism versus free will in a way that, I had never seen on television with this level of philosophical and scientific depth. Every episode raises existential questions with no easy or comfortable answers. Visually, it's hypnotic and beautiful. The company's headquarters feels like a sacred technological temple. It's not for everyone. It requires patience and a willingness to actively think while watching. Number 4, Band of Brothers. More than 2 decades after its original release, it remains the absolute gold standard of war miniseries in the entire history of television. Produced by Spielberg and Hanks with an unprecedented multi-million-dollar budget, it tells the real and documented story of Easy Company of the U.S. Army during World War II, from brutal training all the way to the end of the war in Europe. Damian Lewis, as Major Winters, delivers a performance that permanently defined his career. Each episode focuses on different battles and different soldiers, creating a mosaic of genuine heroism, fear, brotherhood, and human sacrifice. Well, what truly makes this series special is that before each episode, the real veterans share their personal memories directly to camera. When you see these elderly men talking about their experiences and then watch the actors portray them as young soldiers, the emotional impact is absolutely devastating and unforgettable. The Bastoni episode in particular is a masterpiece of tension and wartime horror unlike anything else ever produced. If you haven't seen Band of Brothers, you have very serious homework to do. Number 3, Landscapers. Only 4 episodes, but what an extraordinary, unique, and innovative 4 episodes they are. Olivia Colman and David Thewlis play Susan and Christopher Edwards, a seemingly normal British couple who committed an unthinkable crime. They murdered Susan's parents and buried them in the garden for 15 years without anyone suspecting a thing. Based on thoroughly documented real events, the series does something remarkable with the traditional television format. Instead of telling the story in a linear way, it plays with reality and fantasy in a way that, well, you're never completely sure what's real and what's imagined. Coleman is absolutely brilliant, portraying Susan's fragile mental state and her obsession with classic Hollywood films. There are moments when the series literally turns into a Western or a classic melodrama, reflecting how Susan constantly sees the world around her. Thewlis, as the devoted husband who would do anything for her, is just as fascinating to watch. Honestly, by the end, you find yourself feeling compassion for these murderers. Number 2, Maniac. Emma Stone and Jonah Hill star in a series that defies any simple description, conventional label, or easy comparison. Annie and Owen are 2 strangers with deep, unresolved trauma who participate in a pharmaceutical experiment designed to cure any emotional pain permanently, with no side effects. What follows is a journey through multiple alternate realities, where the protagonists live completely different lives as spies, elves, 1,930 seconds gangsters, and many other surprising identities. It sounds confusing at first, but it works perfectly thanks to impeccable direction. Well, Cary Fukunaga directs every episode with a striking and distinctive visual style, and each reality has its own completely different aesthetic. The chemistry between Stone and Hill is undeniable, built on decades of real-life friendship that naturally translates to the screen. The series explores loneliness, genuine human connection, and whether we can ever truly escape our deepest trauma. Justin Theroux, as the scientist running the experiment, delivers moments of brilliant dark comedy. Honestly, there's nothing else quite like Maniac. Number 1, Maid. The undisputed number 1 on this list is a series that completely breaks your heart and then slowly puts it back together piece by piece. Margaret Qualley plays Alex, a young mother who escapes an abusive relationship with her small daughter and is forced to survive by cleaning houses for strangers while navigating a social assistance system that feels Kafkaesque, bureaucratic, and designed to make her fail. Qualley's performance is extraordinary and unforgettable, transmitting desperation and determination with the same emotional intensity in every scene. Andie MacDowell, her real-life mother, plays her mother in the series, a bipolar woman whose relationship with Alex adds layers of deeply painful and complex emotion. Well, the series is based on the real memoirs of Stephanie Land, which makes everything even more impactful and socially important. Watching Alex struggle to hold onto her dignity while the system seems built to push her down is, frustrating and brutally revealing about modern society. Nick Robinson, as her ex-boyfriend, proves that abuse isn't always physical or obvious. If you only watch one series from this entire list, let it be Maid. And that brings us to the end of this journey through these extraordinary miniseries that I truly recommend from the heart. I hope you found at least one that caught your attention and that you're excited to watch soon. Honestly, putting this list together was tough because there are so many great options out there, and leaving some out really hurt. Ha 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 ha. If you liked this video, don't forget to leave your like, subscribe, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming content. See you in the next video.